Excellent. Thank you very much for that warm introduction, and thank you for having us again this year. This is such a pleasure and an honor, and I just want to start off with gratitude for being here. This is an opportunity that many don't get, so thank you again. We are going to be talking about empowering educators through great math instruction. This is a Michigan takeover, so good luck. Kelly, do you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, first time here, so I'm a newbie and just kind of getting my feet wet and getting used to this, and it'll be time to go home. But it's been an amazing experience. So yep, Kelly Coffin, Superintendent at Farmington Public Schools. Been with the district 5 years, first year as the superintendent, and thrilled to share a little bit about our district and how this is really impacting learning across a K-12 organization.
Fantastic. And I'm Rachel Martin. I'm an education executive with Magma Math. I am in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And we are actually a Swedish-born company that's based in New York City, opening an office soon in Michigan. But our goal is to really help support K through 12 students by showing their thinking. So Talia is actually going to be walking around sharing some candy, getting you excited. It is Swedish candy. It's authentic. It's delicious. So please do enjoy that. Before we start, now I know you all don't mind being a little bit naughty, so pull out your phones, don't tell anyone, and go ahead and scan this QR code because it's going to ask you a couple of questions. We're going to get in that state of mind to think about math. We really want to hear about your math experience, so I'm going to give you about a minute to do that right now. It should be pretty easy. And as you submit those, we're going to go ahead and go to the next section. It's going to show some responses. And the reason that we're asking these questions is because it's going to help us get in the right frame of mind, but also understanding your experiences is really important because it really helps you relate to what's happening within the classroom. Were we able to show those responses? Oh, cool. All right, so it looks like we've got some interesting submissions. This might change a little bit as people submit. So if they called you the math queen, it looks like we have a few people that fall into that category. Congratulations. I definitely fell into the anxious category growing up and learning about math. It being a little bit of a scary space, but it looks like regardless of our past experiences, we're all pretty excited that we want to have good opportunities for our students. We want them to really show their thinking. We want them to have really great mathematical discourse. And that is what we really focus on at Magma Math. So on our next slide here, I want to share just some of our core beliefs at Magma. We believe that every student has the right and the ability to be good at math. Now, we also believe that the journey to the answer is usually much more exciting than the answer itself. So regardless of your past experiences, I think there's a lot of opportunity to grow math within our districts. And there's someone I want to introduce you to. So raise your hand. Does anybody know who this is? It is not the next, I knew you would know. It is not the next bachelor, no. He is Swedish, though. He's a former Olympian. He is driving the math world wild. He'd probably be pretty content to know that you're thinking of him as a bachelor right now. But this is actually Dr. Peter Lilledal of Building Thinking Classrooms. So within Building Thinking Classrooms, it really focuses on great instruction. Now, it isn't just for math, it could also be for other areas as well, but it's really tied to great outcomes for math instruction. So today, I'm gonna share a little bit about Building Thinking Classrooms, and then Kelly's gonna take you into some real world scenarios that she is deploying within her district. So in a traditional classroom, let's all picture this. We've got students, they're sitting in front, looking at their teacher's up front, and they're typically showing how to do something. They're demonstrating to their students how to solve a problem, and then we're following that up with a now you try this task. So the goal of this method is that we want kids to learn, right? And we want them to take away and be able to accomplish that task. Well, what percentage of students do you think actually have a positive outcome with this type of a technique? Any ideas? All right, spoiler alert, it's 20%. So it's not very good. Kids are not learning when we're telling them what to do and expecting them to learn in that way. So what we really need to focus on is what is happening when we take this type of technique. So They fall into a couple of different categories. Faking is I'm pretending that I'm doing it, but I'm not doing anything at all. I'm just sitting at my desk, let's be honest. Stalling is Ron sharpening his pencil for the 3rd time today in class, and it's probably a nub. You can't do that. You can't do anything anymore. Tried it is that 20%. Slacking, I mean, they're not even shy. They're actively scrolling through TikTok right now, and they don't really care what you think about it. Now, the largest category is going to be mimicking. So this is where students, and no harm of their own, they are trying to do exactly what the teacher did, which is all well and good. Unless we give them a different type of problem, they get completely stuck. They have no idea what to do next. They are not thinking conceptually about the math. So this is where building thinking classrooms really comes in. So the primary focus of building thinking classrooms is that we want to have deep mathematical thinking and student autonomy. So what is that really focusing on? We want to shift the focus from teacher-led instruction to student-driven learning. We also want to encourage meaningful problem solving and roll-over rote procedure and promote equity by engaging every single student within the classroom. So how building thinking classrooms is going to do that is really addressing some of the barriers that we see within the classroom. So passive learning or lack of engagement, also reliance on procedural fluency without really understanding what's happening, and then the equity issues that stems from those fixed groups that we put students into. So although there are 4 toolkits and there's 14 different practices, I'm gonna go ahead and just focus on toolkit number 1 because you might hear teachers starting to talk about some of these things, and it'll really help you to get excited about that with them. So number 1 is giving thinking tasks. And these are going to be good problem-solving tasks that require students to get stuck, then they think, they're going to experiment, they're going to try, they'll probably fail, but then they're going to go ahead and apply their knowledge in different novel ways to get themselves unstuck. And what's really great is that this celebrates both the creativity and the productive struggle within that journey. How you can do this within the classroom is using open middle questions. So those are the types of questions that encourage so many different ways to solve a problem. You can also use open-ended questions and those real-world scenarios within the classroom. Number 2 is going to be frequently form visible random groups. So what's really nice here is that collaboration, as we all know, has a really powerful impact on learning. By grouping students together randomly, they're not going to fall into these preconceived roles that they might have had. They're not the leader, they're not the note taker. It really allows anybody to take any role. And the diverse groups really allow students to share different ideas, different viewpoints, different perspectives, and they have the opportunity to represent things in different ways as well. So one way that you can do this is actually by getting a deck of playing cards and then passing those out to students and allowing them to get in the groups that way. And what's nice here is that students won't think that the game is rigged against them, because even if a teacher says, oh, I picked these groups randomly, they still believe that you've done this on purpose. So that kind of gets you across that objection. And then last but not least is using vertical non-permanent surfaces. So this might be one that you have heard in conjunction with building thinking classrooms, but that typical note-taking protocol of sitting in your notebook, writing things down, it's going to reward exactly what you would expect, that low energy, that students are not thinking, they're just doing that mimicking that we talked about before. So by having students stand up, we play on their physiological improvements. It's going to enhance their mood, their creativity. They're going to have the ability to think in different ways. Students can also go ahead and better communicate. They can use different gestures, they can use facial expressions, they also can use their tone of voice and their body language. And then by using these non-permanent surfaces, like something like a dry erase board, they can go ahead and feel safe to take greater risks because they know they can erase things and then redo them as well, applying something new. So those are just some of the opportunities that you would have to deploy a building thinking classroom in your district. I would recommend checking it out, learning about it, because some of your math teachers might be talking about this currently. So now that you know just enough to be dangerous, I can't make this random because we only have a little bit of time, but go ahead and stand up, choose 2 other people around you to form a group of 3, and talk about what you're doing in the district right now or within your company, and how you might deploy some of these teaching practices. Go ahead. Does anybody want to share, sorry, I don't want to throw this out at you, but does anybody want to share like what they're doing in their district or where they might be finding success in this type of approach? Anybody? I'm going to call on someone. Suisa, what were you saying?
And I think, like, when you think about, like, the process for our students actually thinking about their thinking and rising in skills of metacognition. Because, right, it's that sit and get versus really understanding, like, how did I get there, stretching our brain. And the one thing that I always say is when we're actually thinking about our thinking, our kids live in the prefrontal cortex, which is where we want them to be. And if they're that engaged, they're actually less likely to be dysregulated or non-emotionally sound. So that's kind of what we're
Awesome, thank
kind
you.
of thinking in my head.
We really appreciate you kind of sharing those ideas with each other. I'm really excited to hear Kelly share a little bit more about what they're doing in Farmington and how they're using Magma to kind of show that thinking, give teachers time back. But before we do that, I have one little video that I wanted to share with you.
My work on building thinking classrooms started around this idea that we need to get students thinking. And that was what I was solely focused on. There was a whole bunch of byproducts that came out of that. One of which was the importance of having that thinking be visible. Being able to see what the students are thinking seems to serve a number of utilitarian purposes. One, it allows me to intervene more clearly and more timely when I can see what the students are doing. And not just what they're doing mathematically, but what they're doing emotionally, how they're engaging with the concept, and where they're slowing down, where it's taking them longer, what places they're having more trouble. But it's also the act of the students' work being seen that seems to be important to them. That when the students can showcase their work, when they can feel that their work is being seen by the teacher and by their peers, there's a greater pride in it. They take responsibility in a way that we don't see them doing when they're just working on pencil and paper. The same thing is happening when students are working in Magma. Right? The teacher can see their work and are able to use that knowledge and information in real time to intervene in ways that is helpful to the student, but also helpful to the teacher. They can extract lots of information from multiple students at once through the heat map, through being able to replay different things, but being able to use that to guide their instruction as to what comes next. But it's also got that element of my work has been seen, which seems to be important to students. They take pride in their work.
All right, Kelly, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're doing in Farmington for meaning making. So share with our team here.
All righty, thank you. You know, when I think about our work in Farmington, I had heard of Magma Math for quite a few years, and I didn't jump on right away, I'll just put it that way, because we're very clear, as I know you are in your districts, that any partner that we work with must accelerate our work, and they have to come where we're going. So when we think about our focus, our instructional focus can be defined, we have 3 letters, P-A-N. So we talk about P being positioning, and positioning learners at the center of the learning experiences. A stands for authentic, so making sure that all the learning is authentic to the learners, not something we believe is authentic. And then N stands for noticing and belonging. And so it's really are our learners seen, heard, and noticed. And so as I was thinking about this, you know, what is it that we need to do to make sure that happens when we talk about that positioning, authenticity, and noticing? And so we work with a tool called the ALT model. So it's authentic learning through technology. And so we talk about acquisition, meaning making, and transfer. Farmington was no different than most districts, I think, in the United States, where our teachers spend a lot of time in that acquisition phase. So kids never get a chance to really get to make meaning, nor, I will say, do our educators, to make meaning, and then transfer that to a new or original product or process. And so our focus is truly around meaning making and how do we create space for that to happen. So when we looked at this tool, the other piece that really does keep me up at night is I'm a former math teacher. And recognizing when I step back from the district level and think about our elementary folks who are out there each and every day teaching mathematics to our children, they probably haven't had a core content math class since high school. But yet we're expecting them to be everything to everyone. And so always looking for what are the tools that are going to be able to go into the hands of our educators so that students, regardless of what classroom they land in each and every year, our teachers have the tools that their experience will be at a high level learning experience, irregardless of the background or the experiences of those educators in regard to the content. So this tool truly complements our math improvement focus. We had a few elementary buildings that were already building thinking classroom buildings. They were focused on that. We've now extended that into our middle school and high school. And as we look at our math instruction, we've just approved a new resource 612 for our math teachers. So this is key in part of the rollout, is giving this tool to the teachers and in reinforcing the building thinking classroom piece of that. We did that as we did our proof of concept around which tools to get, and so this was part of that process, and our teachers truly feel supported in a way in their mathematical teaching that they just haven't been able to get. And of course, the AI-supported enhancement, AI is here. We've been a district that has embraced it. It doesn't mean that people aren't worried about it or concerned about it. So, but it's been a good tool. Our teachers actually see the value add for them and for their learners. So I had the chance to visit a second grade classroom a few weeks back in one of our elementary buildings. Elementary building is one of our Title I schools with low math growth and achievement. So it's been all hands on deck in that building. So part of our strategy included incorporating Magma Math. In talking with the teacher and the instructional coach that day, the teacher shared this was the first time that they felt that bringing in this wasn't an addition to or something new we had to do. What they were able to do is take the math boxes that they normally do for every lesson, incorporate it into the Magma Math tool, so students were doing that so they could see in real time how they were doing, versus they do it paper pencil, she's got to check all those, she's walking around. It just really gave her the space. She was able to work with a small group when I was there without any interruption in second grade, so you know how fun that could be. And you can see the impact there, just within this first year of using this as a support. We didn't change our elementary math resources. We just really lived into the building thinking classroom piece of it. But it's a full class strategy. I think that's another piece that our educators really appreciated. We're going to see a video. I think that's next, right? So I want to tell you a little bit about Peyton just before we show the video. So walked around the classes, all the kids were working. I go to this little girl named Peyton. Again, second grade classroom. They're 8. I had to keep reminding myself that they're 8. So I go to Peyton. I said, "Hey, how do you like this? How do you like math?" And she said, "Oh, if I could close out of this program right now and then go back, you would see this is the program I love the most." I'm like, okay. And so she proceeded to share with me why she liked it and really gave me a tutorial on how it worked. Again, they're 8. So we're going to see a little clip of Peyton showing what she knows to her class.
Watch it. Oh, you got to watch. We're looking at their thinking, or we might need to even say, like, hey, we caught a mistake.
Oh yeah, I get it.
If you're not watching, you're not going to understand the
How did you
thinking.
do that?
So she's trying again now. So it looks like she started with the number line.
She's trying Trying again.
Trying again.
Proud.
PR, just come sit down, please.
And trying again.
Hey, you know what? Is it okay to try it again and again and again?
Again. This was the last one.
Markel, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, now look.
Oh.
Oh. Peyton, come on up. So Peyton persevered through this. She did different methods until she found the one that worked. Because remember, do I make you do a certain strategy? Do we find the one that works for you? Yes. All right. Can you show me a quick body check?
I think better. So then Peyton goes on to describe the 7 times that she tried that. And so as I was being able to observe this, and again, hearing that how much she loved this, but I think about, again, I put my former middle school math teacher hat on, and the resilience and the perseverance and the expectation that was in that classroom simply because they felt comfortable. The teacher had just started using this tool 2 weeks before I got there, and the kids could not wait. You push this little arrow to watch everybody's work. So that's all they wanted to do. They literally were 5 minutes late for recess because they were so into this, the watching everybody else's work. And you could hear that a little bit in there. And so the power, so for me leaving feeling like I know that the quality of opportunities in really thinking about mathematics, how solid it is in that classroom. Here, this is from Katie. You know, she talks about, you know, kind of her willingness to take more risks, her willingness to have the students take it. She was very open with me. She said, I don't really know all the tools. The kids just helped me figure it out. And she said, but it's okay because I know that it's a safe place for us to be able to do this. But the thing about math becoming fun again, you know, that's another takeaway for me is when I think about how do we get the right resources in front of our hands for our teachers that truly is a benefit for them as well as for our students.
Awesome. Any other final thoughts, Kelly?
I have tons of thoughts. But I will,
Well, if you need more Kelly thoughts after today's presentation, please do find her. I want to thank you for joining us. You're a phenomenal partner, and I think just sharing these ideas. I do want to leave you all with one quote from Dr. Peter Lilladell. Problem solving is messy. It's a messy, nonlinear, and idiosyncratic process. Students will get stuck. They will think. They will get unstuck. And when they do, they will learn. They will learn about mathematics, they will learn about themselves, and they will learn how to think. Thank you.